in case you missed it. It's the top 5 sports talkers of the day. Now, it's time for Dan Barrero's Top 5 at 5. Brought to you by Gutter Helmet of Minnesota. Never clean your gutters again. Learn more at gutterhelmetmn.com.
All right, we got Kevin Seifert to talk draft and Vikings, and everyone else has attempted to read between the lines what the subliminal message of the Justin Jefferson comments and the quarterbacks, what it's supposed to mean. We'll find out how Seifert reads it, among other subjects that will be explored at 5:30. Meantime,
Murray stops on a dime at the three-point line, circles off the Jokic screen, pulls up on an 18-footer. That rims off. Rebound, Dante's got it. DiVincenzo off to Randall, into the front court, back to Dante, to the cup. He'll jam it for 2. He'll seal the Game 2 win. The Timberwolves are going to even this series at a game apiece. Murray's heave from half court, no good. The Wolves stun this sellout crowd here at Ball Arena, and they come away with a 119-114 victory.
That did sound like stunned in the background. You heard it last night on the Timberwolves channel of your iHeartRadio app. You may have also been listening on Twin Cities News Talk AM 1130 as well as 103.5 FM.
Bring gas.
The Wolves did, in fact, even up the series against the Denver Nuggets with a 119-114 victory. Anthony Edwards with 30 points. Julius Randle, 24 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, just 1 turnover for Julius. Rudy Gobert, just 2 points, but they were big. The putback dunk over Jokic. He added 7 rebounds and some great defense in the fourth. I could name you a bunch of other stats, but the important thing is the Wolves, after trailing by 19 in the second quarter, found a way to come back once again in Denver and even the series at 1 was Game 3 back at the House of Pain. The Den, as Flip used to call it, Target Center, 8:30 on Thursday night.
And overnight, we have become the national NBA media darlings again. It has taken exactly one game, one victory in Denver, I think, to light the fire, which is a remembrance of what they did 2 years ago when they shocked Denver. Although, remember, if it plays out the same way, Denver's going to win the next 2, right? Didn't they win both games when we ended up coming back to win the series?
They did. They won 3 in a row because they won both games here.
That's right.
And they won Game 5.
Yeah.
Jokic was unbelievable in Denver. Yeah, the Wolves had won the first 2 in dramatic fashion, and then Denver won 3 in a row.
Key stat for me, and like you said, there's a bunch of them. The key stat of this game, it says everything you need to know, is the Wolves had 30 free throw attempts. Now, unfortunately, they only made 19.
I was going to say, what a mess
which
that
is,
was.
Again, makes it all the more remarkable that they found a way to win the game. But 30 free throw attempts, same number I think Denver ended up with. And what does that tell us? It tells us Randall, among others, it wasn't like in fact, early he did hit a 3. But he went to the basket. He attacked, which is exactly what I think most of us knew was the obvious way to try to deal with Denver. Move the ball and run downhill with it. And there were several players who did exactly that. Let's go through the list here when it comes to free throws. Randall was 8 for 10. By the way, that's a respectable number he made.
And the 2 at the end when they were up by 1
That's
to give
exactly
them the 3-point lead.
Edwards to the free throw line 9 times. Reed 4 times. Several players had 1, 2, or 3 free throws. Bones Highland 2 for 2. So now you can get fouled on jump shots too, but a lot of that was
the Nuggets did in the first quarter.
That's also factual. They went after it aggressively against a team that the Denver vulnerability at the top of the list is they're not great defensively. Sometimes they're bad defensively, but most importantly, they really can't resist much activity around the basket, and that has to be at the top of the priority list. Now, Tom Crean believes you're going to see more zone from Denver. You're going to see them use Joker in a different way, which makes some sense. There's obviously going to be some adjustments, but they got the game they needed, and they did it going downhill offensively and guarding, and especially guarding so well late that they had the 2 best Denver players tired, and I thought a little bit beaten as well. Now, I'm not saying they're done for the series, but I think within that game, that's what the defensive intensity did, and that's got to be the formula if you're going to if you're really going to give yourself the best chance to steal this series. Game 1 was winnable as well. That's the irony of it. If you get more production from the medium knockers, who are very, very good in Game 2, much better than in Game 1.
Like I mentioned, Game 3 Thursday night back here at Target Center, a game you'll be able to hear right here on the Fan after our draft show. We will join that in progress. You can hear all of it on the Timberwolves channel of your iHeartRadio app. We mentioned that Denver, we should expect a response from them in Game 3. We expected a response from the Dallas Stars after they lost Game 1 at home to your Minnesota Wild, and the Stars did, in fact, respond.
One back by the Stars. A shot by Lundqvist, they score. Jason Robertson tips it in. Another lost draw ends up in the back of the net. Stars lead 3-1.
And that would be the game winner. The Wild would close it to 3-2 and then give up an empty net goal that fooled Minnesota.
Yes, he did. He hesitated.
He hesitated.
He could have stopped that puck.
I agree, and all I did, I should know better. All I said was not the greatest Quinn Hughes moment.
You didn't rip him. That's what you said?
Yeah.
That's enough right there.
Trust me, I know.
You're out of the will.
I know.
You're out of the hockey community. Did you get hammered?
Yes. Well, did you see a turn? Nobody thought it would go there. Well, don't half-ass it. You're down 1.
No, you can't.
I know Minnesota plays at his own speed. And obviously, that didn't make it made a difference because they scored.
You got to go after it. Yes.
I was surprised.
Yeah.
I was surprised. I mean, Julius Randle doesn't get back on defense and we rip him.
Well, that's the great double standard that we don't like to talk about. If a basketball player does exactly what he did, he gets pilloried. We can't rip a hockey player. And it also, again, points out that the idea that there's always 100% effort in any sport is nonsense. We just notice it more in some sports than others, and the cliche becomes the cliche in some sports more than others. But again, I'm not going to say that was the difference in the game. I don't think you're saying that either. But the bigger issue for the Wild yesterday was nonsense and not rising above it, allowing themselves to get sucked in when it comes to penalties, needless penalties, stupid penalties. You have Foligno on the one hand saying, they can't play us 5-on-5. They know that. We know that. So guess what Foligno and company do? They give him a chance to go 5-on-4 on several of occasions. How many penalties? I think, didn't we have 6 penalties? Double check the number we had.
I thought it was 8, and they had 3 of them.
I think we had 6 in one period is what it was. Does that sound right, or is that crazy? Is that too many?
That sounds like too many.
That sounds apocryphal?
The minutes sound correct.
Yeah.
But the number does not. I'll look it up here in a minute.
Whatever it was too many, and it was letting the terrorists win. Because if you believe that's what they're trying to suck you into, and you fall for it, shame on you. That's not on them, it's on you. And if it's a veteran who's falling for it, that in itself is not a very good indicator. So, no sin to lose to the Stars. They weren't going to sweep the series. You knew you were going to get Dallas's best shot. I just don't like losing with that taste in my mouth. I want to lose fair and square, that they just went out and beat us. So I hope they just get back to the basics of not getting thrown into, or I should say trapped into, the kind of shenanigans that result in heavy power play opportunities for the opposing team.
You were right. 16 penalty minutes for your Minnesota Wild. 16 penalty minutes. I do that math. That's 8 penalties because there was a double minor. I mean, there's one that counts as a double minor. It's 1 penalty, but 4 minutes. You get the point. So Game 3, right back at it tomorrow night at Grand Casino Arena, 8:30
You're getting
puck
ripped.
drop. Am I?
Quinn wasn't slacking. He slowed down intentionally once he thought the puck was going to miss the net, so he'd get the icing. Well, that's what you can't do in that situation.
You can't assume.
That's the point.
You can't assume.
Because let me guess, did it miss the net?
It's in the back of the net.
What are we talking about here? No one's saying cut him. I don't think. We've done nothing but praise him.
Quinn's unbelievable. So much so, maybe I'm just bitter because in one of their auctions, like 2 months ago, I ordered one of those Minnesota hats.
Bizarre. These people are, they're nuts. You're right.
I ordered a Minnesota hat, and I haven't gotten it yet. And it said it was going to take a little while. They had to make it. I want my Minnesota hat. I'm supposed to go to Game 3 tomorrow. I was hoping I could wear my Minnesota hat and be a Rube. But I don't think I can.
No, I think now people would say you're not allowed to. You're going to have to turn it in to somebody who actually appreciates what he was doing. He was slowing down for the icing that didn't take place because the puck went in the net.
Twins back in action tonight. They are on the road against the New York Mets. Minnesota looking to snap a 4-game losing streak. The hottest team in baseball, now back to 500. They are third in the American League Central. I believe it's Simeon Woods Richardson on the mound tonight. It is against Nolan McLean. And the Twins got some news, or they announced that Royce Lewis will be back in the lineup, or at least off of the injured list prior to this 3-game series against the Mets. He missed 9 games with a sprain after he felt a pop in his left knee. So Royce Lewis is back.
Did we, on the other hand, acknowledge the Mick Abel trip to the disabled list yesterday?
I don't think I did.
He's out. That's the irony of it is.
Did we have a top 5 yesterday?
Royce is back, and one of the early cheery stories for the team, right, was Abel's emergence. He's on the 15-day injured list with what they call in the business the proverbial right elbow inflammation.
Well, that's not good.
No, it doesn't sound good.
It's had a good start.
Yeah, that's it.
We
Exactly.
like him.
And now he's not available. You said it was the Mets, right?
Yes.
Something's got to give because the Mets are on a double-digit losing streak, and we are on, is it 4 in a row?
4 in a row.
Yeah.
For Mike Yo.
We'll see.
Nafisa Collier injury update. She underwent successful surgery on her left ankle on March 24th. Remember, she had to have some surgery here in the offseason. We learned that a month and change ago.
Long?
Well, it's March 24th.
Oh.
Maybe it was an injury that just popped up. I don't know.
Okay.
Here's the quote or the statement. Her rehabilitation is progressing as expected. The current timeline for a return to on-court activities is early June. Now, I should have done this before, but let me pull up linksbasketball.com to see when the schedule.
Early June, you say?
Early June is when she's expected to resume on-court activities.
Right.
And I go to minnesotalinks.com. Man, this is not working. Come on. Links.
We have, by the way, we lost, I think, 6 of our top 9 players to free agency and
Expansion draft,
et cetera, yeah. 6 of 9. That's a lot.
The regular season begins Sunday, May 10th.
Okay, so she'd miss about a month.
Well, on-court activities just means practice, I would assume, right?
Yeah,
it doesn't mean
right.
she's going to be ready to go.
Yeah, and the season doesn't go on that long.
There's no Olympic break this year.
Yeah, you're right.
So you've got the Commissioner's Cup games. Those are on June 1st. But yeah, I mean, and they pack them in.
What are your insiders, Links insiders tell you? Did we not sign her long-term because we want to be sure she's healthy? Did she not want to sign long-term? Because then she basically she has an opportunity to sell herself to the highest bidder next year, correct?
And I think the max number goes up, too.
Right.
That's what I saw. I feel like I saw at the time that the max contract number might go up a little bit. The salary cap might go up a little bit so she could cash in even a little bit more. But I don't know. But yeah, it's jarring when your best player, your most important player, is on a 1-year deal and she's going to miss at least the first month of the season, if not more. Not great, Bob.
I don't think Maya Moore's coming back anytime soon either.
I'm starting to think Devin Booker's not going to play with Cat and D'Lo, too.
That's also possible.
I'm starting to think. The fan at BigDeck.com. Want to give you a shot to win bonus bucks. It is our national cash contest. Final keyword of the evening is fun. Go to KFAN.com and enter the keyword fun.
Yeah, the Quinobos are all over your ass. They are relentless. I guess as a continuation of what you dealt with last night?
Yeah.
Wow.
Thankfully, it switched right to Wolves positivity after that, so I didn't have to do a lot of maintenance.
Wow.
Bloody Divats.
We have people actually trying to justify, again, this isn't why they lost the game.
No, and I don't think they should cut
them. But the idea that a play, we keep being told, again, it looks like it's going to be wide of the net, so he thinks he wants to slow down to make sure that we get the icing call. And it's like, well, that's great, but it went in the net. You can't leave out that detail, man. In that situation, you simply can't. Even though probably the whole situation was moot at that point. Now it's becoming a silly debate.
Carboni's Pizzeria wants to fuel your Game 3 playoff party this Thursday. Visit one of their 30-plus locations to enjoy delicious pizza. Get ready for the playoff run. You can find the nearest Carboni's today at carbonispizza.com.
It might be time for me to sort of reinforce the rules of this program when it comes to savagery, especially relating to your local sports teams. It's really quite simple. If you're someone who despises the game of professional basketball, you occasionally might enjoy this program because we have no difficulty criticizing players, ideas, rules, concepts, etc. when we believe it's warranted. That doesn't mean the game itself stinks. It just means actually that the game's big enough that it should be able to handle some pushback and some criticism. If players do something that indicates a lack of composure, we're going to call them out. But we're also going to do the same thing when it comes to hockey. Sorry if that offends you if you're a hockey fan. Because as much as we have people who are constantly saying, NBA players, they're immature at times, they do some things that don't make any sense, we don't disagree. We talk about those occasions when it happens. But if you think that we're supposed to ignore the immaturity that was exhibited by the Wild just because they won Game 1 in Game 2, you've come to the wrong place. That's what's weird about this thing of NBA, that's where all the trouble is. That's where the players make silly mistakes or they lose their composure or they don't show much maturity. What was mature about the Wild's response to the engagement they got from the Dallas Stars? Especially when after the game you have players. I mean, what makes it even more rippable is the players themselves are saying they don't want to play us 5-on-5. They know we're better than they are. I don't know that they know that, but that was the implication. Well, similarly to those who think, well, hockey players are perfect. They never do stupid things. They never lose their composure. This is about as red letter a case of that as one could imagine. Now, the series is still right there for the Wild. It's not lost.
Sure is.
But it's part of the story. And so it should be a reminder for people who want to continue this silly debate about hockey players are cooler than basketball players. Don't ignore examples such as this lack of maturity when it suits your purpose. Now, and in fairness, there's a lot of hockey fans who have texted and mentioned their own disappointment about the Foligno brothers' approach, but certainly some of the things that Marcus Foligno had to say. So it's very, very strange. For the record, Napheesa Collier has had now surgery on both ankles. So part of, I think, the delay in the second operation was she had to have the first operation, and presumably he'll make some headway in that on that first operation as well. So she's had since the off season or late last playoffs run, she has had surgery on both ankles, and that's apparently why the second surgery took place. One could say relatively late. It's so much fun getting blocked by Dan. This is from 612 guy, the great double standard. Well, he's 612 guy. You're obviously not blocked if I can read what you're saying. So I don't know what to tell you. I haven't.
Maybe he blocked you on Twitter. Have you blocked anybody recently?
No, not lately.
Yeah.
I don't really think so.
I do mute Monday.
That's more passive aggressive. That's more Minnesotan.
It's definitely more me.
Mark writes, how did you like Ant telling Joker to back off when Joker tried to grab the ball in the last minute? Thought Ant's combination of no, you can't have it and doing nothing aggressive was perfect. Bing, ding dong, 100%. I did too. I thought it was the perfect.
I loved it.
Reaction where he almost seemed kind of bemused, but he was like slightly annoyed first. Then he saw who it was, and he's kind of bemused. But that's one of his strengths. You know, he had the technical foul problem in the past, but when it comes to having much of a trigger regarding that kind of edgy stuff, he's actually pretty mature. He has not had very many of those kinds of issues, right? And I think he realized there discretion was going to be the greater form of valor. So he made that's what I think the best players do. He made his point. You know, I'm not going to give you the ball, but didn't turn it into a Wagnerian opera, right? Again, a small part of the game, not a huge part of the game, too. As a diehard Wolves fan, I think Foligno, hold on, this is pretty radical, should have gotten a suspension. I don't care if he didn't intentionally slam him down. He still grabbed him in a headlock and rode along the boards. Well, it was, I don't want to try to evaluate it in relation to other vicious plays. It looked pretty vicious to me. Now, allegedly was set up with he was being interfered with, but it's leaving aside that part. It's just, it's not a bright play at all. And it is, again, a reminder that the idea that some sports have the monopoly on, wisdom and players who never do the wrong thing. Give me a break. It's way too convenient. Hold on. Dan, hockey players are more cool than basketball players. I don't recognize a single hockey player on commercials today, and more importantly, who gets paid more. I think that's good. That might be satire. I'm not exactly sure. I had one other one I'd saved. Oh, no, I did it's so much fun getting blocked by Dan, even though he's not blocked. How is Cat doing in the postseason? Well, we talked about that earlier. When he has a chance to get the ball, he's been doing very well. When he doesn't have much of a chance to get the ball, the Knicks struggle, and he has tended to struggle. He is the great lightning rod figure, man. It's amazing in New York. I guess it's not amazing because it is New York. That's part of the reason. We got Seifert coming up here shortly. If you have questions for him, same text line will work. Some of the people trying to defend Quinn Hughes backing off the puck, the same people would say it's okay to leave the best wide receiver in the league wide open on a play because you thought there was a hold at the line. Yeah, again, it's not why the Wild lost, but it was the whole assumption is in that situation, if you have even a remote chance to get back in the game, you can't give up that goal, right? So you're going to do everything in your power to grab the puck. I just think the excuse is too easy that, well, he wants the icing call and he's judging it that it's going to go wide. And are you allowed to just sort of arbitrarily take that gamble? Because in other sports, I really think, you know what I think part of this is? Hockey players, and I think therefore hockey fans, don't understand how relatively closed the culture is in that if every move in every game in hockey was dissected the way it tends to be in football and basketball for sure, then there'd be a lot more scrutiny discussed. There'd be a lot more debate. There just isn't as much of it. And so you kid yourself into thinking that because there's not as much of it, it must be because it's not there. No, it's just not concentrated on to anywhere near the same degree. I'm working myself up into the Johnny Athletic thing, and I'm not even trying, but I'm forced to on the basis of what indeed has been coming in here, unfortunately. Dan, I agree with many of the sentiments on the stupid stuff last night, but the second period was a disaster for both teams. The hockey horse was dead an hour ago. Can we move on, or should we just tune in when Ryder comes on? Who's Ryder?
I'm assuming that's Seifert.
Oh, Seifert. Might be. Is that a text thing?
We don't have JR on.
That'd be a
or
hell of a
Isaiah or Junior or
JRJ. Hell of a booking. That's for sure. I thought the hockey horse was dead, but don't blame me if I found out via the text line that it's not. We brought up briefly the thing you tweeted out last night, and regarding Minnesota, and you should see all the texts.
I believe it
with you
because I saw my Twitter wall.
So we're not trying to beat the horse. We're responding in real time to a subject that we had just begun to explore. Kevin Seifert, you have items for him. Vikings draft stuff. What are they going to do? Is Jonathan Grenard going to be part of the future or just the past of the Minnesota Vikings? All of that and more should be covered next. Stay tuned. Draft, the fan has learned, is slated to open up Thursday night, Dateline, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. That means lots of Vikings speculation locally. We have already had some, I guess you could say, some sessions at TCO Performance Center. These are optional sessions involving players. We've heard from the head coach. We've heard from the acting general manager. Kevin Seifert was there, has been there for pretty much all of it. One would assume he joins us now via the Connecticut Water Systems hotline. I will give you a chance to do what everybody else has attempted to do. Interpret what the world-class wide receiver Justin Jefferson, the guy you insist should never be dealt by this team, regarding the quarterback situation. And was there a subliminal message you think that he was trying to send? Was it straightforward? What did you take? What should the average Rube take away from the way Justin Jefferson navigated those troubled waters?
Yeah, I thought Justin was trying to not show favoritism really towards either guy, and is sort of trying to help legitimize the idea that we really don't know who the starter is going to be. And so we don't take sides. We don't publicly express any favoritism either way. You know, he said he's excited about the way Kyler Murray can make plays, but otherwise was kind of neutral on him. You know, said still trying to get situated here in Minnesota, and he'd still talked positively about J.J. McCarthy, but basically said, like, it's a good thing now because the pressure is on. And I think he was just like, I mean, since this quarterback carousel started after Kirk Cousins' injury, basically, like, the guy who has been the most honest in a public sense among any person's related to the Vikings about the situation is Justin. And I think he gave his honest take about being in the middle of something that he really can't control and is ready to go in either direction when he finds out what direction they're going in. I did not take what he said about JJ as a rip or a attempt to motivate him. I think he was just pointing out that the attempt to motivate him has already happened, and that's bringing in Kyler Murray. And so all he really did was state the obvious, which is J.J. McCarthy's going to have to fight to keep his job, or otherwise he's going to be a backup. What does Justin Jefferson secretly wish will happen at the quarterback position? I would bet, he's smart. He knows who the more accomplished quarterback is, but I would bet that, like, if you hooked him up to a lie detector test and said, what do you want to happen? He would say, I just want somebody to throw me the ball on time and accurately. And it wouldn't matter to him who it is. And it's great that Kyler Murray can make plays, unscheduled plays, but, like, that doesn't necessarily lead to more downfield passing per se. And so I don't think that he perceives Kyler Murray's style of play as being inherently beneficial to him. And I really take him at his word, because every time he says something, he backs it up. For the most part, he views it as his job to pull in whatever throw is made to him, as long as it's somewhere within his radius and somewhere near where he's supposed to be. And I don't think it will matter to him who that person is, as long as that person is able to deliver him the ball on time and accurately. Leaving him out of it, true or false, Kyler Murray will have to bomb in training camp to not be the opening day starter. True. And, that part of that is, what we've said before, Kyler Murray at his worst is still better than what J.J. McCarthy was last year. His floor is, he can, if he's having a bad day throwing, he can make up for that in a lot of other ways. When J.J. is having a bad day throwing, he can't, he doesn't have that, 5-star running and scrambling ability. And so, and I partially say that because the amount of ground that J.J. McCarthy would have to make up in training camp is pretty substantial. And so, even if Kyler Murray has his days where he doesn't look that sharp, I still think that will be enough for him to be the starter. We'll see. Maybe J.J. will take a massive jump and prove all of us wrong. But if I had to answer your question true or false. That's what I would say.
Texter 310 guy, did I hear it wrong? I thought JJ said that McCarthy needs to step up his game or he will be a backup. He didn't say that about Kyler.
Well, he said, I think he said he'd have to be have to take a back seat.
Yeah.
Which is where he was 2 years ago as a rookie in theory because he was hurt, but he also wasn't starting. So he'll be back to where he was unless he is able to rise to the challenge. That's the way I took what he said.
All right, fair enough. I'll accept that. So play out the Jonathan Grenard story for me in a way that I can understand, because I'm very confused with the way it's been presented to this point. Because early I thought it was, well, he's not happy given all the other salaries. He wants an adjustment on his salary, even if he didn't have, by his own standards, necessarily a great year last year. And the Vikings are not interested in doing that. And so then I heard, well, that means there's a good chance that he's going to be dealt. If he's not dealt, we'll get to the trade part in a minute here, but if he's not dealt, can we assume that he understands the player and his agent deep down, no matter how frustrated they are, he's still under contract and he's eventually going to come in, even if he's not particularly happy? Or is there is there a crisis yet to come regarding how this is going to be resolved?
I don't know if I go as far as crisis, but we've seen several occasions in the past few years where there has, been a disagreement, relatively friendly disagreement on financial value of a player, and they come to training camp. That we saw this with Danielle Hunter a couple of years ago, where he basically didn't participate in a lot of training camp or the beginning of training camp until they finally worked out something for that particular season. And the same with Josh Metellus last summer. He was doing some stuff, not everything, until they got to a contract extension agreement. TJ Hawkinson the same way, frankly, a couple of years before that. And so we've seen that play out. And so if the Vikings don't get a trade offer that they want, my guess is that's where it heads, is that maybe he doesn't do a lot of OTAs or any of OTAs. Maybe he shows up for the minicamp portion, which is mandatory, but not the rest. I mean, I'm just speculating purely, but that path has happened. And then if it's not figured out by training camp, then maybe he doesn't do a lot of training camp stuff until it does get figured out. But I don't think I don't think it's going to be a crisis where he's not going to play during the regular season because of it or anything. I think that he'll have more tools at his disposal if there isn't going to be a trade.
Is this team still better with him on the roster or another draft choice?
No, 100% him. Especially with if the Schefter report was a premium day 2 pick, which is somewhere in the top to middle of the second round, I guess. That's a nice draft pick to have. But if you just look at the numbers, the percentage chance that you get somebody in that spot, even in the second round, that's going to be ever as good as Jonathan Grenard is going to be for the next couple of years is not very high. So I think you would always want a Jonathan Grenard at this point in his career than to a mid-second round pick in this particular draft. And so, especially with injuries and whatever else, I think, and at that position, you'd be hard pressed telling me there'll be a better team certainly in 2026 without him, and maybe in multiple future years as well.
Are we ruling out the possibility that eventually we might be willing to throw a little extra dough his way, or do you think the Vikings are dug in that sense?
No, I don't. I think. It'd be hard for me to imagine that their final offer has already been made. There's plenty of time left. There's lots of precedent for these things extending even to training camp, which is the end of July, beginning of August. And so I don't think they're dug in. They may not be close at the moment. They may have had wildly different ideas of what they thought each side thought was the appropriate way to move forward, but that was probably also the case with Danielle Hunter a few years ago and TJ Hawkinson and even Josh Metellus. And so these things can work out. And there's really, other than having him participate in all the off-season stuff, there's really not a level of urgency getting a contract done if what they would be asking for in a trade is beyond what any team's willing to offer.
Kevin Seifert joining us on the phone via the Connecticut Water Systems hotline a couple days before day one of the National Football League draft. He covers the club for ESPN and joins us weekly. Post-draft, writes 651 guy, when the Vikings hire a GM, what kind of GM will be motivated to join a team that already has a head coach and quarterback chosen for him?
I mean, it's not ideal, and we've been talking about that for a while, but on the other hand, it's the cliche about there only being 32 of these jobs, and also they don't open up as much as coaches do. I mean, I think there was one or two general managers hired after the season, most notably in Atlanta, and they just the way NFL teams work and the way owners think, like general managers, it didn't happen here, but typically general managers get longer tenures than the average head coach. And so when there's an opening, and you could say it's not ideal that the coach is already in place and that the quarterback is already chosen. And the other thing is that the most recent draft class has already been selected as well. That is an unideal thing, but the Vikings, I think, have a reputation organizationally that can supersede some of those those things. And there are a lot of teams who, when their general manager job is open, just on the whole would be less attractive than what they have here. And there's no debating that it's an unusual situation, but I think they have some plus sides and some benefits that would at least competitively outweigh that.
Is Brzezinski less likely to get kind of wacky and weird and wild about, moving down multiple times or that sort of thing? Do you think we're going to play it a little bit more conservatively in that regard, or not so much?
I don't know that he is necessarily conservative. I mean, he's been especially earlier in his career as a contract negotiator, he was especially aggressive with some of the strategies he used. I mean, don't forget he was the poison pill guy with Steve Hutchinson. I mean, he's not afraid to be aggressive when he thinks it will benefit the team. I think I've just taken him at his word and kind of flowed from what he said about, stacking the board objectively, figuring out who the best players are, and when you're and then letting the draft come to you. And so that doesn't mean that you don't make moves and try to maneuver for certain positions and certain spots if you think that will benefit the team. But I think, what I've been telling people is, he is not looking to reinvent the wheel. I don't think he has any sort of team building strategy that no one else has ever thought of or no one else has ever brave enough to implement. He's not one of those people, and I think that's a good situation, especially in an interim spot. But I do think he's not afraid. He's shown in his previous life that he's not afraid to be aggressive when he's confident that it will be good for the team.
Who do you have us taking in the official ESPN mock?
Yes, that posted today, and I was, if you're looking for somebody original or somebody unconventional, I was not the person to do that. I guess I was our version of Brzezinski. I went with Dylan Thieneman, the safety from Oregon, just like 92% of the other mock drafts have done or what have you. And part of it is there's an obvious need there, whether or not Harrison Smith comes back. He's also a really good player. And I have taken to heart what Brzezinski has said about not manufacturing things that aren't there. It might be great to get a player at, a great running back there to be your running back for the next 5 years, but that's not probably a place where they could take one, for example. And so I think that they will, you could say that's a safe choice. You could say it's the conservative choice, but I think that they will be highly motivated to avoid mistakes if at all possible.
I thought what mock did I see? It might have been a Florio mock, and he mocks, but he did do one.
He does.
And
funny.
I think he had Detroit. Isn't Detroit picking right ahead of us right now?
Yeah.
He had Detroit taking the safety right from under our noses. And I don't know if that makes sense. To you.
Maybe he doesn't want the Vikings to get the safety, so he manipulated his mock draft.
That's possible.
That. A lot of people think, like, our Lions guy thinks that he's pretty convinced they're going to take an offensive lineman there if they stay there, and so that we take that for what it's worth. But that's what our Lions guy is thinking, and he went in that way in our mock draft. But it doesn't mean that Thieneman couldn't go somewhere else, or someone couldn't trade above the Vikings to get him if they think the Vikings really do want him.
What else do we need to know about this draft?
That it's the opposite of top heavy. That there's more optimism as you get towards the middle of the second round, to the end of the third round, than there is for anything after like the top 5 or 6 players through that middle of the second round. And so the Vikings are fortunate to have 4 picks in the top 100 this year, so they'll be able to get multiple bites at the apple. 18. There's very possible they get a good player, but it's not considered the most top heavy draft. So there's a fair amount of people who think that trading down or getting into the 2027 draft in better position would be a good priority to go into. And I can't say the Vikings won't be thinking about that, because their offseason seems to be very long-term oriented from a strategy standpoint. And so that wouldn't totally stun me. We haven't really talked much about the Vikings trading down or out of the first round, mostly because we don't think many teams are going to want to trade into that spot, but I don't think they'd be afraid to do that.
How serious are you hearing the sniffing by the Eagles into possibly making a deal or an offer for Grenard?
I mean, there's a general sense that they would like to add pass rushers, and they definitely checked in when those initial reports came out. And, it may be something where they will see what they do on the first day and, or early in the second, see if they can get what they need out of the draft, or if they are then going to feel like they're not going to get that and need to find pass rush elsewhere. So I think that's Schefter's reported that throughout, that's one of the possibilities and a top candidate. And so we'll see. Their general manager, Howie Roseman, is always very willing to be aggressive and trade and move things around and admit mistakes and try to make up for them. And so we'll see where he's at, but that's certainly a possibility.
Are we going to can we get a good running back in this draft?
It is not considered the greatest in history for running backs after you get past Jeremiah Love, but I think they'll be pretty motivated to find one with some speed and explosiveness being high upon the skill list. They have two running backs that they used last year, obviously, and can get through the year this year. But I think they have, that people forget they had a lot of interest in Jahmyr Gibbs that ultimately went to Detroit a few years ago, and that type of back would have a lot of success, I think, in the O'Connell offense with Justin Jefferson on the field. And so they have been sort of pining after that for a while. And I don't know if this is the best draft to do it, but I think it's certainly possible.
This is from 612 guy writes, hey, Kevin, so Justin Jefferson seemed to be enthusiastic in his comments yesterday about working with Kyler Murray this season. It also seems to be rooting hard for J.J. McCarthy in his development. My question to you is, does Kevin think Gaardsy is being too harsh in his criticism of Quinnesota? I'll hang up and listen. Do you have any idea what we're referring to?
Quinnesota, I don't think I do.
He's our star, the defenseman that we acquired, our superstar player. Gaardsy ripped him.
Quinn Hughes.
Quinn Hughes, is his name. I call him
hockey. We're talking hockey. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. You thought I was. Where did you thought I was going? Different sport?
I mean, I'm a football guy, so that's the first place I go to.
No,
I realize we're in the state of hockey. I got you.
Yeah, we're in the state of hockey. It's a playoff season. And he kind of, hesitated when he had a chance to prevent an open net goal. Gaardsy gently apparently ripped him for it, and the hockey community has not, they basically have not stopped ripping him ever since.
Well, I would side with Gaardsy on that. I'm all for stepping on hornets' nests and then letting the hornets fly around and pretend to be real tough. So I'm certainly in favor of Gaardsy challenging the conventional wisdom, whether it's the hockey people or whether it's football people or basketball or tennis. Assuredly he would have a lot of he would have a lot of credibility when it came to a tennis take, but certainly hockey as well.
By the way, are we going to get, what year are we bidding to host the draft? Is it next year or 28?
28.
Will that be announced during this draft?
I don't know if it'll be during the draft, but it's coming soon. Like, I would think that at the latest by some point in May, that's typically when they announce it. I think it's pretty competitive. They're just kind of sniffing around a little bit on it at the league meetings. I don't know who else. It hasn't been made public who else is bidding, but I was told there's a formidable opponent in their path. So it may not be their year, but I know they won't be giving up if they don't get it this time.
It's a big point of prestige these days. Think about it. It's now become prestigious to call off school for 2 weeks and host the NFL draft.
We wouldn't do that part here, though, right?
Apparently,
we would make the kids go to school.
Well, apparently we've already done that. We did it for the golf event at Hazeltine.
The Ryder Cup.
Ryder Cup. We did it for that. We at least
needed
in
the
that
parking at the high
direction. We needed the parking, so we cut school for
high school or
about a month. I think we took off. Yeah, it's amazing. Well, I might be
Some
exaggerating.
of those kids didn't graduate on time.
That's right. That's
well.
true.
I mean, not only that, but like half the western suburbs gave up their houses for Airbnbs for that.
That's also a good point. Yeah.
Basically, it was just like they probably took the kids anyway, and they were just going to not be in school regardless.
Have a wonderful draft, and we will talk afterwards. Thank you.
Okay, Dan, thank you.
Appreciate it. Kevin Seifert, ESPN.com. I've got, I don't want to oversell it, but I'm going to oversell it. This might be the single greatest text in the history of the Bumper to Bumper program.
Wow.
This might be the text to top all texts that we have to discuss when we come back, and we'll get to a couple of other things as well when Bumper to Bumper continues.
It is a Timberwolves Talkback Tuesday playoff edition. Use the Talkback feature on the iHeartRadio app. Sound off on what the Wolves need to do to win Game 3. Winners chosen every hour for Game 3 tickets. All the details at KFAN.com. Keyword contests.
More breaking news, NBA related. Another award has been meted out. This is the NBA Clutch Player of the Year award. And we had a player prominently mentioned in this. We were I think they had announced a few days ago, we had a player who was in the final three. The finalists. Well, Anthony Edwards was in the final three, but he finishes a distant third. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the fourth different NBA Clutch Player of the Year winner in the award's 4 seasons. He wins it easily.
What do you mean?
With 96 first-place votes. Interestingly, Jamal Murray edges out Anthony Edwards for second place.
Yeah. He's got good numbers.
117 points for Jamal, and it looks like 116 for Anthony. The only other first-place votes went to Cade Cunningham, who finished fourth. He got 1. Jalen Brunson got 2. Jokic got 1. Those are the other first-place votes. So a runaway winner for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Is it bulletin board material? I wouldn't think so. It's interesting. We just talked about Rudy finishing, what did we say, third or fourth?
I think it was fourth.
I think it was fourth Defensive Player of the Year.
Which means he wasn't technically a finalist.
He wasn't a finalist, that's right. I wasn't offended by it. I don't think you were either. But this is a good this is a good illustration of how literally, even in a community that has tended to want to savage Gobert, one really good performance, I guess you could argue 2, given he played very well in game 1 as well, but especially 2 because the Wolves won it, gets people into that recency bias froth. Because I don't think it's a travesty that this particular year, Rudy finished as low as he did. Now, can I argue he could have been third? Maybe.
I don't know the other ones as well.
I don't think I'd put him second, quite frankly, ahead of Holmgren this year.
Chet, yeah.
But, and these are from a show that's been nothing but complimentary in defending Rudy's honor in terms of his defensive influence. But I thought the most telling, now Finchie went out of his way to rip the bias against Rudy.
Yep.
A bias we have attempted to savage for quite some time. But if you read his entire answer or listen to it, you'll note that eventually, I think he kind of acknowledged the reason Rudy fell a little lower this year. He made it sound like, well, the team around him kind of let him down. And I think that's what happened this year. If you finish, if you're perceived as underachieving as a team by finishing sixth in the conference, a position that in the old days the Wolves would kill for.
Right.
But more recently, things have changed. We're grading on a tougher curve. Then I don't think it's all that surprising that the voting kind of goes the way it does, right? That he's not going to necessarily be at the top of the list. We all know the analytics, what they show regarding him being off the field or off the court defensively and on. There's no comparison. But this is where I don't want to lose my mind and become so prisoner of the latest performance that I go, ridiculous. How is Wemby a unanimous winner of this award? He's a unanimous winner because I think he's probably earned it this year. And that's no disrespect to Rudy, who's won the damn thing 4 times and is always going to be top 3 or should be top 3 or top 4. So I think 2 things can be done at once. I think you can stand tall for Rudy and still not lose your mind and say, well, man, you saw what he did? How's he not at least second? Are you going to really base everything on one outcome because it's national and because it's the most recent? That's where I get kind of, I don't know what the word is, worn down, a little bit exhausted that we have to go from one extreme to the other on the basis of 1 or 2 very, very good games. Like, well, how in the hell, how could you play any better defensively than you play? Well, you couldn't in these games. But it's a regular season award. It's there for a reason. And it doesn't just apply with Rudy. It happens with if there's any examples that fit, that's what we tend to do. We tend to say, well, now we have proof that the experts are idiots. Is there a conspiracy of silence when it comes to Rudy's greatness defensively around this league? The answer is yes.
The silence is definitely.
It's undeniable. But I still don't think that this year, even analytically, I don't think the numbers indicate, talking about league-wide, that he should have been anywhere near, that he was going to be at the very, very top of the list.
Well, Finchie, as you just brought up, nailed the premise where it's Chet Holmgren, right? We know Wemby.
Yes.
He wins it, unanimous. Holmgren is number 2.
I think it was Pistons guy 3, wasn't it?
Right. What do Holmgren and Pistons guy have in common?
What's that?
Their teams are the top overall seed.
Exactly, yeah.
That's pretty simple.
Yeah.
That's a pretty simple
and I think
calculus.
That's what he says. He was ranting that he did acknowledge. That to me was like it took away a little bit from his rant because he's acknowledging, well, we kind of let him down. The team let him down in terms of whether it's fair or not. Overall record and performance tends to be often what drives this. Like, well, they're really, really good defensively, and they've got a great record. Wolves have a good record. They don't have a great record.
And Rudy won Defensive Player of the Year when the Wolves were the number 1 seed pretty much all year until the last couple of weeks.
Yes.
I know you want to get to the text, but on the Rudy topic, I love that Randall, after Ant shouted out everybody last night, Randall said, look, we also got to talk about Rudy because that was unbelievable. And Ant, in my opinion, is at his best in these playoff press conferences. Going all the way back to telling Cat to stop bleeping fouling.
Right.
They don't have a matchup for him. Last year, talking about, was it the pass in game 3 where he talked about, I knew someone was going to be there. Nas hit a big 3. I knew what they were doing. Like, he's always entertaining. He's always swearing or whatever. Yeah. But his letting us in on the Rudy thing going into the 4th quarter and saying, yes, we need you. He goes, brother, we need you, which was great.
It was absolutely great.
How important he is. We're not sending any help. We need you to do this. Stop fouling. Talking about the types of fouls that he gets when he's guarding Joker that he can't get. The reach-in stuff, he's going to flop, so he gets that thing in there. I thought it was just Ant again at his best post-game.
And he acknowledged he went to the voodoo part of this, or the verboten part of the topic, which is, I know people say whatever they say about him offensively, and he's got some issues offensively, but I'm not talking about that right now. I'm talking about what he does defensively. So I kind of like that he didn't ignore the elephant in the room, which is that aspect of it.
It was really good.
And he's saying, defensively, he and again, if you recall, we talked about this way back when. Back when your guy was still on the team, who was the guard, the very emotional veteran guard that...
Pat Bev.
Pat Bev. Pat Bev used to mock Rudy defensively.
Yeah.
And Edwards, I think because Pat Bev did it, tended to glom on to that same thing.
Yep.
And I remember us talking about that at the time. I wonder if there's going to be a reckoning there, because the bit at that point was most overrated defensive player. Obviously, that might have been then. This might be now, but it was a good conversation from, or good commentary from Ant. Regarding the Foligno double minor.
All right.
This is from 952 guy. I'm not making this text up. Did it ever occur to anyone that Foligno's headlock may have been an effort to prevent that guy's head from being ridden right into where the bench meets the glass? Yes, it looked bad, but it would have been a whole lot worse had he not pulled him down. Foligno was doing him a favor. Foligno's a peacemaker.
Might have saved his life.
Might have saved his existence. Might have had whiplash.
His
Who knows?
career.
His spine might have been fractured. But for the generosity and the good sportsmanship of Marcus Foligno, how good is that? That might sum up the hockey community better than any text we've had in quite some time. May have been an effort to prevent him from being hurt.
Did anybody ask him?
I don't know.
He didn't offer it up, so he's a selfless hero if that happens.
I hope, will there be a morning skate tomorrow?
I would imagine yes.
I hope that somebody brings that up and say, were you actually trying to be the humanitarian in that situation? That's as good as it gets. We'll come back, wrap up the show, give you highlights and lowlights and what might be coming up tomorrow as well. Stay tuned. Back in a minute.
Show Wrap is presented by American Pressure, commercial-grade pressure washer since 1975.
It's the Bumper to Bumper Show Wrap.
Tomorrow, we do believe, will be Wexler Wednesday. We hope a visit with Marty Wexler III. It's now only once a year that Marty joins us, our official draft expert, who's been so kind to us and so controversial in a lot of his ideas, sometimes way ahead of the rest of the National Football League. He is scheduled tomorrow. Kessler is scheduled tomorrow, I'm assuming.
He is not.
Oh, he's out this week?
Yes, Kessler. Okay. Yeah, I forgot to tell you that. Kessler is, I believe, with Freaky McFreak on assignment.
On tour. Okay.
So he is out, but we are replacing him with Russo Radio tomorrow.
Nice. I like that.
Going into Game 3.
Yeah. And who knows, we may add an NBA guest, too. We'll see how that goes.
Alec Lewis will also join tomorrow.
That's tomorrow.
Yes.
We're in good shape.
On Wednesday. We're locked in.
And then Thursday, Lieber should join us, as he customarily does on Draft Thursday, right before the draft begins. Are we going till 6 or 6:30 that night? Do you know? On Thursday?
It's 6:30.
It is 6:30?
Yes.
Okay. And then we got endless draft coverage on the Fan from that point forward as well?
Well, it's kind of endless. I think it's until they pick.
That's
and
right.
then we're going to go to Wolves Nuggets Game 3.
That's true. The unusual nature of that.
So Wolves fans better hope Brzezinski doesn't go crazy or steal.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Because we're at 18.
That would be a problem. Want to thank our outstanding array of guests today, including Kevin Seifert, to talk draft stuff. He joined us at 5:30. And much earlier, we had a very nice day after review of Game 2 of the Wolves series and the Wolves victory over Denver last night. Tom Crean joined. Crean, of course, has been doing, during the regular season, pre- and halftime and post-game analysis on Wolves games. I don't think he's involved in, unfortunately, playoff games, but he is for us.
Well, there's no local TV.
And that's a good point. No reason. But he gave us some nice analysis of the Anthony Edwards injury and also what he observed of last night's game. Crean joined us at about, as I said, 3:15. I don't even know the games tonight. I think the Lakers are the late game tonight. I haven't heard if Durant has been cleared to play after he missed game one. Houston kind of needs him to come back. And there's got to be at least one other. I'm assuming there's an early game tonight, too, that I'm forgetting about.
I'll find it here in a second. Can I read you a tweet?
Yes.
Regarding Tom Crean's appearance, for those that may have missed it,
okay,
at
fair enough.
3:15 from Tennessee, from Brandon Molesky.
Okay.
Maybe it's because I'm a basketball casual, but I thought this was the best breakdown of a game/series in any sport I've ever heard.
Man.
Make sure you podcast it if you missed it. Crean is terrific.
Yeah, he is. I'm glad he listened. I'm glad I appreciate his interest, Tennessee's interest. Yeah, I mean, I think the beauty, what do the best analysts do? If you want to be hardcore, you want an analyst who gives you some stuff to chew on. But if you want to be a little bit more casual, as Tennessee says he is, you want him to be accessible there, too, to rubes who might not know every term. And I do think Crean is very good at pretty much all of that. So,
I also like how he started it by saying, and I told Anthony this morning.
Yes, that was a nice little humble brag, too,
it's a great flex, but that's part of
the attraction.
For sure.
There's no question.
He's his college coach. He's one of his closest guys.
Yes.
And it's great to have that access and insight into what's going on.
Is there any chance there's going to be any transmitter problem tomorrow? Because I hear it's going to be incredibly hot.
Ooh, transmitter problem. Well, and with our construction, who knows? I mean, we're doing shows from different studios.
Every day this studio looks worse than the day before. I mean, it's so. Have you been in here? It just looks. It's just hideous looking right now.
Now, my sources say,
is it going to be unbelievably attractive when it's done?
Yes, and that might be as soon as tomorrow.
What?
The walls, we believe, are taken care of tonight.
Are we going to put more fake brick up, or are we trying something a little bit more?
The's going to be some nice monitors, as you can see behind you.
That behind us, yeah. So we got some good visuals going.
Yes.
I'm very curious to know, is it going to be like carpeting on the walls? Because they do that sometimes, don't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
Basically, if you go down to the new KDWB over here, you'll see what the vision is kind of like,
right, good.
I believe. Because I know the monitors are in there.
What about my dream of a portable microphone that I could do the show and pace at the same time?
I'm not going to say that dream is over, but it's not part of this phase.
Oh, all right. Yeah.
Celtics Sixers are in the first quarter right now.
That's a good one. That's
Rockets
a good
Lakers, and there's also the Spurs and Trailblazers game 2 on NBC and Peacock. Blazers owner guy in the meat grinder for basically being a poll ad. He's basically slashing costs on everything that doesn't involve the team. So, like, some staff members have to check out of hotels early. He's nickel diamond. Photographers aren't coming on the team plane. And he's unapologetic about it. He's saying, you don't have to like it, but that's how I'm doing it.
It's my team.
It is his team.
I'll do what I will with it. And Twins, have the Twins started already? They're in New York, right? Taking on the Mets?
I imagine they probably have.
The terrible New York Mets, I might add. They have they're in double digits on their losing streak, so maybe we got that going for us.
Twins had a scoreless top of the first, and the Mets are up to bat now in the bottom with 2 outs.
Larry Mondello guy writes, I know you've been almost exclusively toy department today, but there was news today that the president is indefinitely extending the ceasefire with Iran. I know he's not even American, but maybe the president should think about involving Marcus Foligno in the next peace talks. I mean, he's no J.D. Vance, but he has a track record. Ed in St. Paul. Dan, the Stars coach, replied to the Foligno 5-on-5 comments and said that he was probably a little emotional and frustrated, but they're not taking debate, and that it's been competitive and the series is still tied up and there's no bulletin board material needed. Took the high road, Ed in St. Paul.
Aaron Gordon did that with the Jaden comments.
Did he really? Same thing.
And by the way, I don't care.
And Aaron Gordon is of all the people he named, he's easily the best defender, I would say. I would not call him a great one-on-one defender, but he's not a bad one. Several of the others are. It's all statistically kind of been proven, although when they had their winning streak late, they moved up a little bit in terms of some of the defensive analytics, but they're not a great defensive team. They're a team that just has to outscore you, and they may be good enough to do it, or at least to advance. On the other hand, what we said from the start of this series, if you can take some of that away from them, if that's your advantage, and the Wolves obviously are a better defensive team, nowhere near as good an offensive team, then that's where you have to try to take some stuff away from them. And that clearly was a big part of the fourth quarter story in game number 2. We'll see where it goes from there on Thursday night. Fan and a Man in the Air, is that what's coming up next?
Then
As
Wild
usual?
Weekly.
Wild Weekly is back. Outstanding. Enjoy the rest of the evening. Enjoy the heat that's coming our way. We will talk to you beginning at 3 o'clock tomorrow right here in the Fan.
Thank you for the memories. Thank you for the great time. We love you, Dan.
The job is done. We can go home now.